Hello, hello, welcome back. And today we're talking about why you actually need to be in a relationship. So, this independence culture is garbage, for lack of a better term. I'm sure you guys can find more colorful terms to use for that. But hear me out. I know a lot of people probably won't like to hear that. But we were never meant to be independent. Actually, people are not independent even when they think they are. There was a video that one of my subscribers sent me because he knows I like to go deep into these topics of these really feminist women who are all about, I can do everything myself, I can change the light bulb over the stairs that are 20 feet tall, or the ceiling is 20 feet tall, I can, do all this dirt work, move all the things, do all this landscaping, fix the plumbing, all the things. And it's showing them trying to do this and then failing at it and then being like, I really just wish somebody could be here to do it for me or with me, or I just wish I had a partner, a man, to do this for me, because men are just, let's be honest, more naturally inclined. They're just better at those things, right? Men are just naturally get some things about life, like fixing things, at least most men. Whereas, women, we have more instinctual knowledge about other things, and it perfectly complements each other. But we do need each other. And I know that is something that is not talked about very much today. It's all about, no, we don't need anybody. We can just be completely independent. Nobody needs anybody. I almost said nobody needs nobody. But that's what we see, right? And is society getting better? Are they happier? Are they more content? Do you just see them rested and glowing just from, just what is on the inside just like pouring out of them? No. You see them completely mad at the world, rude, unkind, selfish, self-centered. We see all of that instead. So I have my notes here. I'm going to be going deeper into all of these things if you found that interesting. But first of all, my name is Amanda, and here we talk everything about femininity, becoming the best versions of ourselves, and becoming our own dream girl so we can live our own dream life. And that includes so many different aspects about life. So here we have the holistic approach. We are covering everything on this channel, not just superficial things, or not just money, or not just relationships. We talk about it all here. So if you're interested in that, definitely like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on this. The independence culture is garbage. We need each other. And if I'm looking down, I have my notes so I don't forget anything. Traditional cultures know that we are only half. That's why they kind of push people to get married, because they know that when you're together, that's when you are whole. And yes, you need to bring 100% of yourself. I'm not talking about how people are like, yeah, I bring 50%, they bring 50%. No, that is not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that when you're together, you are a complete being. You are whole. It's like a man is the masculine part and the female is the feminine part, and together they make, almost divinity together. Like they're just made for each other. It's like we're separated. It's like the masculine part of us is a little bit separated in the man, and the female essence is kind of separated from the man and the woman. And so when they come together, it's like the two parts of God coming together, right? Because everything in life is duality. In different cultures, they have yin and yang and, different things if you look. And it is the feminine and masculine, where together it is the whole. And when I was younger, I was in martial arts, and I can't remember everything about the philosophy behind it, but there was like this circle, and it had like this kalma looking thing, and it would be, one would be upside up and one would be upside down, and they would fit perfectly together. And I think it was red and blue with like a dot in the middle. One dot was white and one dot was black. Anyways, I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but that's also kind of the concept of yin and yang, of the feminine and the masculine, that together, those two parts of of essence become the whole. And that's what it is with people also. It's not just for other things out there. And I need to stop saying that word. I'm catching myself. So traditional cultures know we are only half. We are whole when we are together. And it was so from the beginning, right? Like if you look in holy books, it's the man and the woman, the first man and the first woman, and they were together. And it was good, and God said it was good for a man not to be alone. Let me give him a helpmate, someone to be with him. And they will need each other. They will be happiest when they're with each other. You know, how many times do we see like older couples, which now it's not very often anymore, but I wish it was. But when you kind of look back and like the World War II generation and the strong generation where they were just together and forever. And then when one of them dies, the other one feels so empty without their other half. Like it's like they've lost their soulmate and they just want to go back and be with them. And I know this because my great-grandmother was that way. She lived to be, I think 96, but she lost her husband because he had bone cancer from being in World War II, something with the blood, I forget. And so he died a lot younger. And she just wanted to be back with him. And you would have never guessed it because when they were together, they pretty much fought like all the time. She would be kind of like hammering into him and they would have like the biggest arguments. But deep down, they still like loved each other. That was just their way of showing it, I guess. But they just felt she just felt kind of empty or lost without him. And I know that isn't something we like to think nowadays because we're so into our independence. But it's also a beautiful thing. And I know I used to think that I'm never going to be that attached to somebody. I don't want to die once they die. You know, I used to be like that too, but it's a beautiful thing when two people can come together and be that harmonious and become one, right? So, next point. It is healthy. It is healthy to be together. It is healthy to be in a relationship, you know, in marriage, to have relationships, friendships, all kinds of things. It is healthy. We need that. If you look at it from like a science point of view, we are animals and we need each other. Like we are herd animals. Like how cows, if there's 2 cows in a field, they're going to be together or there's going to be a herd of them. They're not always just trying to be solitary and be under the tree, you know, all by themselves as far away from the others as they can. And we're the same way. This is like the only time in all of history we've been isolated. And it's not going well. We see the statistics. So it is healthy to be with somebody, to be in a relationship. We crave it deep down, if we are being honest. Men need women. They do. And women need men. We do. And we've only started thinking differently about all of this, like the past 50 years or so. Like it has not been long at all. And we see it does not work. We see that. Because families are falling apart like never before. Marriages are not holding. People being in boyfriend-girlfriend relationships are not working. People are just going through each other like crazy. Or not even trying to be with somebody. People are so unhappy and depressed and trying to, I'm not going to say the word, but trying to like take themselves out. And it's just because we've changed our mindset in the last 50 years, it doesn't change the thousands and how science puts it, millions of years that are in our DNA, that's in our blood. You know, it takes, if you study like evolution, and I'm not saying that, you know, you should believe in it or not. I'm not putting that part out there. I'm just saying that if you study it from the science point of view, they say it takes 40,000 years for the smallest tick to change in the DNA. So just because we've started thinking different in the past 50 years with the feminist movement and thinking that, you know, we can do everything by ourselves and nobody needs anybody and all of this, and that 50-50 works and all of the new ideas that are coming out, it will take another 40,000 years if we keep on like that for it to even take the smallest effect in our DNA for it to be able to even maybe work. But we see it is not working because it's not in our bones, it's not in our DNA, it's not anywhere. It's just a figment of the imagination, and it's not working. Let's be honest. It is not working. And I know most people don't like to hear that because they're like, oh, feminism was the best thing that ever happened and all of this. And sure, I'm sure maybe something good can come out of anything. But if you look at the people who led the feminist movement, like Susan B. Anthony, and they were one of the biggest playboys in history was behind it, because then he could be with as many women as he wanted to if they thought that they were in power just getting to be with any man they wanted, you know. It actually gave more and more rights to the man and left the woman without her virtues, is what feminism did. And it is really interesting to look into. But anyways, that's not what this video is about. I have other videos about that. But the next point is why we need a relationship. So this is the point of the video. I remember listening to, I was in a challenge that Tony Robbins did when I was 18. It was during my birthday, so I was like 17, 18. And he was explaining this, and I've never forgotten. It was so, so good on why we need relationships. Why it is the most important thing in our life. You know, our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with God, and like a very important one is our relationship with somebody else, like that special someone. And that's because we can only have so much happiness by ourselves. Like if we're just sitting in an empty room or just eating something or looking at the sunset or taking a trip or just doing something random, you know, you're only making memories with yourself. You have no one to share it with. You can't be like, oh, you remember this? Wasn't that just so beautiful? Like you can't do that if it's just yourself. Sure, it's nice to be able to just do it with yourself, but there's only so much happiness you can hold within yourself. The only way you can multiply that happiness is by sharing it with somebody else. That's how you exponentialize it. That's why when we give something to someone and we see them so happy, it makes us like even more happy than we could have imagined. It's that giving and receiving. In Arabic, it's this concept called huq. H-U-Q, I think is how it's spelled. And I kind of know this because my background is like Indian Middle Eastern. And it's this beautiful concept that like a man providing is his part of huq, which means that it makes him feel fulfilled and happy. And he has to do it to feel fulfilled and happy inside him. And it is the woman's right to receive his providing and love and companionship and money and all of that. That is her reflective form of that same idea, that same concept. And it's like when a girl is getting married and everyone is going to be giving her some gold jewelry. If she says, no, keep it. I don't want it. Like, keep it for yourself. Like, no, she's blocking the huq. It's in his best interest to give it to her because he's going to receive something intangible from that. And it is in her, like, almost divine interest to receive the gold because that's going to be giving to him. And it's this beautiful, like, circle. And it's so hard to explain, but it's so, so beautiful. And so that's why when we think being independent, we don't want anybody to do anything for us. Well, we're blocking that form of huq also. It helps people to be able to give to us. And especially if we're a really good receiver, like we're just so happy and feel so blessed to be able to receive it. And we thank them so much and give them so much appreciation. That is worth more to them than what they're giving you. Even if it is like a whole bunch of money or things that you can't even imagine or monetary value. There is no monetary value assigned to it. It's bigger than that. So, yeah, because happiness, you can only have so much by yourself. You need someone else. And someone told me that was in like a George Strait song also, where he's like, you can only see, if you see the sunset by yourself or with your cat, like, that's one thing. But if you can share that sunset with someone else, that's what life is about. And I thought that was beautiful. And let's see, the next point I wanted to say. Oh, someone was talking to me yesterday. It's this older man. He owns like half of the mall place that I like to visit. And he's always like giving me all this advice, and he's really fun to talk to. And he was saying, I don't know how he was talking about it. Oh, you're so beautiful. And he was talking about like, you need to get your real estate license. You're so smart and all of these things. And he was like, you have 2 of the 3 things. And I felt kind of lost. I was like, what were we talking about? Like, so I asked him, what's the 3rd thing? And he's like, well, you have beauty, you have intelligence, but you need a partner. And I was like, oh, I see. And that was in front of everybody, so I keep that part of my life private. I just thought that was so funny. And it's true that a lot of people don't like to admit it, but a partner does complete us. And it's a beautiful thing. It's vulnerable, and you have to be open, and it can be heartbreaking too. Like, love hurts, but we have to keep our heart open for it, because nothing in life is going to be 100% safe. Like, even driving to the store, getting up in the morning, sitting right here, like probably an asteroid could come down and like get you or me. Like, nothing in life is 100% guaranteed. So like marriage, there's never going to be 100% guarantee that the person you marry is going to be good. But you have to take that chance. But do it prayerfully and seek God and seek other people's counsel and take time. Take time. And you will make the right decisions. And another thing is, there's the male and female sparrow, right? There's the male and female deer. There's like all of these things, the male and female dove. And, everything in the world, they're in pairs, all the animals. They have somebody. I mean, I know like some animals, like it's like one male deer with like 20 does, but there are certain ones where it is just one of each, like doves, or there's these different deer that are like that, and different animals. Eagles are like that. They find their mate. They find their pair. They're in pairs. And if God can make it happen for them, find each one of them their mate, find each one of them so they're in a pair, of course He will do it for you. Of course He can. He must. He will. So hold on to that. And cultivate relationships with others. Don't just be going after romantic ones. Don't be chasing after that. In fact, don't chase after anything, especially romantic ones. I'm just saying be open to the idea, because we seem to be getting the opposite message from culture today. But don't only go for romantic. Cultivate relationships with your neighbors, with your family, with your friends, with your girlfriends. Have male friends that you enjoy speaking with and hanging out with, and they uplift you and give you really deep, amazing things to think about. It's a beautiful thing. It builds skills of, being able to be with people, because that takes a skill that most people don't have today. And it creates protection for you. So when you are going with somebody, they can be pointing it out like, oh, you know what? I'm not sure about this thing about this guy. Or they'll be like, you know what? You're totally missing out all the things. This is a really great guy, right? Because you'll have that support system. And that is really important. We are here to grow and expand and, keep growing. And, our soul. And the best way for our soul to do this is to be in a relationship, surprisingly enough, because relationships are one of the hardest things in life. Most people don't know how to get along, how to resolve a conflict, how to love one another after being hurt. And we hurt other people too, right? Like, no one's perfect. But the biggest growth comes from relationships. Not from being a hermit on the mountain all by himself. Because it's so easy to be in a good mood and be happy and keep your cool and everything and meditate when you're by yourself, in your own house with nobody around. But it becomes a completely different playing field when you're in a family and you have somebody else with different moods and tempers and saying things to you or not saying things to you, and that is where all of this comes in. That is where the growth happens. I don't believe there's any virtue in being a hermit or being like solitary and all by yourself and thinking that, oh, I'm so holy. Like, no. The biggest growth happens when you're with somebody and having to deal with them and seeing them at their best and at their worst and still choosing to love them through that. And vice versa, having somebody else to love you through your best and worst also and stand by you. I think one thing that was really interesting to me that I had heard I had read, is in Muslim culture, they have this concept, or they talk about it, that getting married is half your deen, or half your works. Because they believe that if you do enough good works and they outweigh your bad works, then you'll go to heaven or paradise. And what is interesting to me is they believe that marriage, if you just get married, that's fulfilling half of it. It wasn't faith. It wasn't like anything else. Like, why did they pick marriage? And that is something deep to think about, because it is that important for our soul growth. It brings us that much closer to God and seeing how He loves us, even though we're imperfect. If we can love someone else with them being imperfect, and everything else that goes with that. And there's this one thing in the Bible that I hadn't quite understood or didn't like, or, one of those things that I think Paul wrote, that a woman shall be saved through keeping her house and childbearing, something along those lines. And I was like, that's interesting. I don't understand that. But then when I read how the Muslims say that pretty much that same thing, that it's fulfilling half of your purpose, half of your works, I was like, that makes sense, right? Because there is so much growth and love and everything that happens when you have a family versus you just being all by yourself. There's so much growth that happens. And anyways, I just wanted to put all of that out there. I was just thinking about this, and I was like, other people need to be able to see these things too, because I certainly did not see these things when I was younger. And it definitely makes you a happier, more loving, open-hearted person when you do have more of this worldview than the independent, I don't need anybody, get out of my face kind of vibe that most people have, right? And mindset. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, definitely hit the like button. I'll wait for you. I know I always hear that in YouTube videos and I'm like, oh yeah, that's for other people. But no, I'm talking to you. It really helps me. And leave a comment below. And that also really helps me as well with the algorithm, because I don't think YouTube really pushes these topics out as much. And yeah, if you want to go deeper into changing your mindset around all of this, I have this amazing play sheet down below. It's absolutely free, and you'll get all the things that I learned. It's concise and a nice little, I think it's only like 2 or 4 pages. And I'm getting confused because I can't remember if it's front and back. Of all the things that you can say in your mind to reprogram yourself, to be thinking the way that is healthy for us to think, instead of being indoctrinated by what culture has told us. Or not really culture, but society in a sense. And if you want to go even deeper, then check out my course, Divinely Favored, which has absolutely everything you need to become your own dream girl. And at least just read the sales copy. The link is below. It is so fun to read. I had so much fun writing it, and absolutely everything that is there is in that course. So it will change your life. And if you want to work one-on-one with me, I also offer coaching, and I can help you guys with elegance, health, beauty, and, just bare beauty, because I'm not wearing any makeup at all. And, just being natural and just letting that inside part of you be able to glow. You have to get rid of all the blocks and the shadows and the almost constraining things that are holding you down and blocking all of that from just showing through, because you have that within you, even if you think you don't. And I can also help you get into the dream body, like that you have absolutely dreamed about. Just being, if you want to be fit, you can, but just being slim and toned and everything, that is absolutely my passion. I've done that in my life. I've helped my mom get a lot healthier. I've helped other people, and I can definitely help you. So if you're interested in any of that, then if you get my play sheet down below, you can get my email that way and send me an email, and I would love to work with you. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.